So we are talking about the very first premiere pilot episode of one of my most anticipated series this year, and that is Lovecraft Country. We got Jordan Peele, we got J.J. Abrams as the executive producers. What did I think about this pilot episode? Do I recommend you all check it out? We're going to talk about that and much more. Episode 1 was titled Sundown. Atticus Freeman meets up with his friend Letitia and his uncle George to embark on a road trip across 1950 Jim Crow America in search of his missing father. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to my channel, Movie Files. Elliot here today to talk about the pilot episode of HBO's new show, Lovecraft Country. Very excited to let you all know what I thought about that pilot episode and why you should be excited for this series in this non-spoiler review. Before we dive into it, as you all can see on the screen now, make sure you follow me on all my other social media accounts. That way you can know what's going on here at Movie Files. If you are new to the channel, welcome. Definitely subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of that new content. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Helps out the channel tremendously, but I also really appreciate it. And last but not least, if and when you've seen this pilot episode, you gotta do what you gotta do, which is leave your comments in the comment section below. Let me know your pros, your cons, and your excitement level for the rest of this series, and let's have some discussions down there. So J.J. Abrams, Jordan Peele, sci-fi, horror, HBO, has all the makings for a show that I'm going to love. So I was really excited for this show, guys. So before we even dive into my thoughts of this pilot episode, my pros, my cons, and all that fun stuff, kind of what to expect with this series on this channel. So every single week I will be covering it, and I'm actually partnering up with someone else to review it on their channel that I can't really get into details quite yet, but keep an eye out for that. But every week on the first 5 episodes, I will be reviewing it immediately or maybe before or after the episode premieres. And then on Mondays for episodes 6 and 10, I'm going to be dropping reviews Monday afternoon. So keep an eye out for that. I'm going to be covering the show, and I cannot wait to talk more about this show. But if you guys aren't too familiar with Lovecraft Country, what is it about? So it is based on a 2016 dark fantasy horror novel by Mac Ruff, who is exploring the conjunction between the horror fiction of H.P. Lovecraft and the racism in the United States during the era of Jim Crow laws. And it follows Atticus Freeman and him looking for his missing father. So that's just kind of the basis of the show. Let's jump into this review. First and foremost, pilot episodes. I watch a lot of TV, as you all know, if you've been part of this community for a while. Some of my favorite shows of all time have had absolutely horrible pilot episodes, and some of the worst shows I've ever seen have had great pilot episodes. And where does this show land? Well, luckily it was a phenomenal pilot episode and sets the stage for what I hope to be a phenomenal series. It gave me everything I was expecting when I saw that trailer. The first foremost, in regards to my experience, I haven't read this novel. I've only seen one H.P. Lovecraft adaptation that was into a movie. It was a Nicolas Cage film. The Color Out of Space, I believe, was the title. I reviewed that film. Check it out on my channel. But I'm not too familiar with this particular novel. But again, it was all of the synopsis, the characters, and who was behind it that got me excited. So what did I think about the first episode? Again, it was fantastic in my opinion. Within the first 3 to 5 minutes, it gave me sci-fi, it gave me horror, it gave me the racism that was going on in that time, and it did a great job of balancing out those two elements within the first 5 minutes. Again, without getting into the spoilers, our main character, Atticus Freeman, is having a dream, and his dream involves a lot of sci-fi, which I loved, and it just set the stage for an incredible first episode. You know, some of the things I want to kind of point on is the actual characters without getting into all their backstories and spoiling anything for you all. But as I had mentioned, we have our main character played by Jonathan Myers, who I've heard of him before, but it wasn't until earlier this year with The Five Bloods. I thought he was great in that movie, and there's a lot of stuff I have to catch up on. I still haven't seen The Last Black Man of San Francisco, but I heard he was great in that. But he's a leading man, and he showed it in The Five Bloods, and he definitely is showing it in this first episode. He demands your attention as Atticus Freeman, who is a man that served in the military during this time. So you obviously know there's some backstory there. Him and his father's relationship, there's some tension there. His father doesn't like the idea Like he's fighting for America, for people that aren't supporting him as a black man in America. His father also doesn't like the idea that his son is a H.P. Lovecraft fan, who H.P. Lovecraft wasn't necessarily a big fan of African Americans. So you have that complexity of the kind of the father-son relationship, and his father's missing, and he's looking for his father, and you learn a little bit about his mom, and that's going to be something to explore. But I love this character. I love the performance so far. He's intriguing. He doesn't take any nonsense. He kind of breaks the rules. He kind of is complicit at times when obviously with this show taking place in the 50s, black people, white people sit in the back of the bus, shut your mouth, don't talk to the police, things of that nature. He kind of abides by the rules, but he served in the military, right? He has the idea that everyone's created equally. So there's that kind of interesting thing that we're going to look into with Jonathan, because he has a little bit of a hot temper, but he's also has some heroic moments that we see throughout this episode. So I'm really excited to explore more of him, but the rest of the supporting cast did not leave me hanging in the department of being excited for the rest of this series. Starting off with Jurnee Smollett. This woman is so awesome. I loved her in Birds of Prey. She kicks so much ass, and I hope we get more Black Canary. But previous to that movie, she's great in other things I've seen her in, mostly TV shows. Her as Letitia Lewis, no nonsense, swagger for days. Her outfits were on fire. Her kind of back and forth with the Uncle George and Atticus. Her, just everything about her. Her complexity with her family members. Being kind of a journeywoman. She goes from job to job. She's asking for money from her siblings, and just so much richness that you can just see. It's just oozing off of this character. And Journeyman is giving you everything. I'm so excited to learn more about her character, and she just was so great in this first episode. Such a kick-ass. I love Journey as an actress, and I can't wait to explore more of her. And then our kind of third main character within this first episode, played by Courtney B. Vance. We have him playing Uncle George, who is, the brother of Atticus' missing father. And there's some, a little bit of complex relationship between the two brothers, but he has his own family. He's looking out for his nephew to look for his brother. And, he's a very fascinating character himself, right? And there's so much to explore with him, his relationship with his wife and his family, his brother, and how he treated his nephew, him being a little bit older in age. So when it comes to those more scary moments, you get a little nervous for Uncle George. But I think that, again, these three main characters are fascinating. The chemistry was off the charts. We're sprinkled in with a couple other supporting cast members from the police officers, from his daughter, Uncle George's daughter, his wife, and many other great supporting characters. So far, all the characters seem rich, seem fascinating. They have backstory. They seem that they're going to be complex. They're going to have some duality to them. They're not black and white characters. They're going to have some gray areas. So I love that about this show within the first episode. So other things that I really appreciate too, again, this is taking place in the 1950s, right? This show does not shy away from the racism, and I appreciate that, right? I know some people that's not going to work for everyone, because some people either ignore racism or they just don't want it to bleed into their entertainment, which to each his own. But I love that the show tackles it, and the way they tackle it within the first episode was really handled well. From seeing our three main characters going out to eat, the being pulled over by a police officer, right, and just different things that we see throughout the show. And there's a lot of tension. It's handled pretty well. I hope that the show continues to tackle the racism that's going on during that time and have those conversations. And I thought that the first episode really displayed that. Again, going about the relationships in this first episode. Again, we don't get much from Atticus's father, but played by Michael K. Williams. I'm excited to learn more about him, but I can't wait to explore that relationship and see that tension between the two. And Atticus learning more about his mom and his family history in the house. I'll just kind of leave it at that. So there's relationships that I'm excited to explore. There are incredible tension-felt moments. Again, there's the tension of the racism, police officers, and them being in this county that is not like black people. It's called Sundown, and there's a particular scene that plays into that title, Sundown, and what the meaning behind that. So I thought the tension was there, the relationships were there. I can't wait to explore more of these characters, and I'm not going to spoil it, but the last 10 to 15 minutes, when I talked about the Lovecraftian horror cosmic elements of his writing, you get that. Without going into the spoilers, it is tense, it is sci-fi, it is practical effects, which I love, mixed in perfectly with CGI. The last 10 minutes were phenomenal, sets the stage for just an incredible experience for the rest of the show. I can't wait to explore episode 2, which I should note that I do have the first 5 episodes, but I'm not going to watch them in advance. I'm literally going to watch it with you all so we can discuss it together. But I love what we get in that last 10 minutes, I'll just say, you need to shoot him is a line that I loved about it. And seeing, you know, like I said, Journey's character, Letitia, and everything in that last 10 minutes was just very exciting and very entertaining. So do I recommend you check this series out, guys? Yes. Watch this first episode. Let me know what you all thought about it. Like I said, I will be reviewing this every week on this channel. And I will be announcing a partnership. I'm going to be reviewing this on someone else's channel as well that we'll be talking about here shortly. But I love this pilot episode. I can't wait to learn more about these characters and get into my sci-fi. Give me that horror that I've been missing since seeing the HBO Outsider. So I am a fan of this first episode, and I hope you all enjoyed it as well. So as always, like, share, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you're following me on all my other social media accounts. Check out my content that I did over the weekend from pre-recording this. So I did a watch along for Birds of Prey. I reviewed Project Power on Netflix, and I got a lot more things coming for you all pretty soon. So thank you all for watching this review. Keep an eye out for more of these reviews every single week on this channel for Lovecraft Country. Again, thank you for watching it. Stay safe, and we'll see you soon.